You know that moment when the room is full of voices, yet you feel like you're not really there. Like you're watching life through a glass wall, present but untouched. We call it being quiet, or independent, or low maintenance. We wear it like a badge. But sometimes, what we call peace is just the echo of a child who learned too early that taking up space was dangerous. You were the one who never needed anything, who sensed the tension before anyone spoke, who slipped away to your room when voices rose, not because you were brave, but because disappearing felt safer than being sent away. And now, decades later, you still do it. You anticipate, you accommodate, you vanish before anyone has to ask you to leave. We think this makes us strong, but strength that requires constant disappearing isn't strength at all. It's survival wearing the mask of virtue. The hidden pain of the invisible child doesn't scream, it whispers. In the way you apologize for needing help, in how you can spend hours comforting others but feel guilty asking for 5 minutes of listening, in the way joy feels temporary, like something borrowed that must be returned before anyone notices. And maybe what hurts most is this quiet belief that if people really saw you, all of you, they'd confirm what you learned long ago, that your needs are too much, that your fullness is a burden, that you are somehow fundamentally inconvenient. But here's the gentle paradox that changes everything. The child who made herself small to survive grew into an adult whose smallness now keeps her from living. What protected you then is imprisoning you now. And maybe, just maybe, the invisibility you perfected wasn't a flaw in you, it was a flaw in the eyes that couldn't see you. This video is for that child, for the you who is still waiting, somewhere inside, to be noticed without having to earn it. Let's sit with her for a while. Let's finally let her take up space. The invisible pain begins like mist, thin, almost beautiful, until you realize you can't see through it anymore. It's the way you can be in a group of friends laughing and suddenly feel like you're performing being here instead of actually being here. It's the hollowness after giving advice that fixes everyone else's crisis while your own sits untouched in the corner. It's the way your body learned to make itself smaller, shoulders in, voice soft, needs silent, long before your mind understood why. Do you ever catch yourself holding your breath in conversations, waiting to see if your opinion will be welcome? Have you ever felt proud of not needing anyone, and then wondered why that pride tastes like loneliness? That's the wound speaking, the one that formed when your tears went unnoticed, when your excitement was too much, when your anger made everyone uncomfortable, so you swallowed it until it became depression. It's the quiet ache of scanning rooms for exit strategies before you even say hello. The way you can list everyone else's childhood stories, but draw a blank on your own, because yours were never the point. The invisible child doesn't make scenes. She makes herself disappear. And the tragedy is how well it worked. You became so good at not needing that no one ever learned how to give to you. Picture this, a family dinner where everything is about to explode. Voices rising, plates clattering, someone about to cry, and there you are, age 9, making yourself very small in your chair, making jokes to diffuse, changing the subject, being good. You saved the evening. Everyone relaxed. No one noticed you never got to be upset. No one noticed you never got to be 9. That's when the template forms. Love equals being useful. Safety equals being unseen. Worth equals how little trouble you cause. And now, as an adult, you repeat it everywhere. At work, I'll handle it. In relationships, no, really, I'm fine. With friends, tell me about your day, never mentioning yours. The pain compounds because the better you get at disappearing, the more people let you. Do you ever smile while secretly calculating how soon you can leave? Have you ever felt jealous of people who make a fuss because some part of you knows they get seen? That's not pettiness. That's the invisible child screaming through the only voice she has left, your envy. She's exhausted from holding up the world while pretending she weighs nothing. This isn't your fault, but understanding it changes everything. The first thing you need to understand is emotional invisibility as a survival adaptation. In attachment theory, when a child's emotional signals consistently go unanswered, they don't stop needing, they stop signaling. It's not giving up, it's efficiency. The mind learns. If I make myself very quiet, very helpful, very unneedy, maybe they'll have room for me. Defined simply, you became a professional at reading rooms because your nervous system decided that predicting danger was safer than expressing needs. Metaphorically, it's like becoming a chameleon, not for beauty, but for survival, changing colors so perfectly that eventually you forget your own. Real-life scene. Maybe your parent was depressed or addicted or just overwhelmed, and your excitement about a school play became not the right time. So you learn to gauge moods before speaking, to offer help before being asked, to be the solution instead of the problem. Philosophically, this creates a devastating equation. I am loved to the extent that I am convenient. The soft healing truth? That equation was never about your worth. It was about their capacity. You adapted brilliantly to an environment that couldn't hold you. Now, the work is learning that your needs don't make you needy. They make you human. But here's where it gets heavier. The parentification trap. When children become emotional caretakers, psychology calls this covert parentification. You weren't changing diapers, but you were managing adult emotions like a full-time job. In simple terms, the child becomes the container for feelings the adults can't hold. Like being handed a cup that's already overflowing and told, "Hold this carefully." Scene: you're 11, comforting your mother after a fight, telling her it's okay, while your own heart breaks unheard. You become the therapist, the peacemaker, the emotional regulator, roles no child should carry. Reflection. This steals childhood twice. First, by forcing you to manage adult pain. Second, by teaching you that your pain is unimportant by comparison. The gentle takeaway: you were never meant to hold the ocean in your small hands. Setting it down now isn't selfish, it's justice. And this is the part nobody talks about: the abandonment depression. When emotional needs go chronically unmet, the psyche doesn't rage, it depresses. It learns to expect nothing so it can't be disappointed again. Explained. This creates an internal working model where love feels conditional on performance. Metaphor: like building a beautiful house but never moving in because you're afraid the foundation can't hold your full weight. Real life. Adult relationships where you test partners by needing less and less, secretly hoping they'll notice and reach for more of you. Philosophically, this depression masks as independence or maturity, but it's grief wearing armor. Healing whisper: The depression lifts not when you finally get perfect love, but when you start giving yourself the presence you waited for others to provide. Now, this is where healing quietly begins, the boundary resurrection. Trauma experts note that invisible children often develop diffuse boundaries. They can feel others' emotions, but struggle to locate their own edges. In plain language, you became porous, letting everyone's needs flow in while yours leaked out unnoticed. Like a tea bag steeping in everyone else's water, but never tasting your own flavor. Seen, saying yes to plans that exhaust you, then resenting friends who take advantage when really you never showed them where your no lives. Reflection. Boundaries aren't walls, they're honest skin. The soft revelation, learning to say, "This doesn't work for me," is actually the deepest act of love for yourself and others. But deeper still, the frozen grief of the unmirrored child. In developmental psychology, mirroring is how we learn who we are, through seeing ourselves reflected in loving eyes. Without it, we develop self-alienation. Simply, you learn to observe yourself from the outside, always checking, "Am I acceptable?" instead of feeling "I am." Metaphor. Growing up in a house of mirrors that only showed distortions. Too much, too little, never just right. Seen, childhood photos where you're smiling perfectly, but your eyes look elsewhere. Like you're watching yourself perform childhood. Philosophical depth. The miracle is that beneath the alienation, your essence never left. It went underground, waiting. The healing takeaway, self-reparenting isn't becoming someone new. It's finally becoming the parent your inner child needed. The one who says, "I see you," without conditions. And finally, the emergence, the rediscovering of authentic presence. In somatic psychology, visibility is regulated through the nervous system. The invisible child lives in dorsal vagal shutdown, freeze disguised as calm. Explained, your body learned that full presence equals danger, so it keeps you slightly dissociated, slightly not here, like living at 70% opacity. Seen, moments where joy rises and your system immediately dials it down. Don't get too excited, it won't last. Reflection. Healing presence isn't forcing yourself into the spotlight. It's allowing your nervous system to practice safety in being fully inhabited. Micro conclusion. Start small. One deep breath where you really arrive. One moment of eye contact that says, "I belong here." Your body remembers safety the way plants remember light. It grows toward it. So maybe invisibility was never your true nature. It was a winter coat you put on during a storm that never ended. What looked like independence was actually exquisite sensitivity meeting an insensitive world. The paradox heals here. The child who disappeared to survive is the same child whose reappearance will save you. Psychologically, this means integrating the shadow. The parts you hid to be lovable are actually your most lovable parts. Spiritually, perhaps your invisibility was sacred preparation, like seeds that need darkness to germinate. The ones who see deepest often learn in silence first. Healing isn't about becoming loud or demanding. It's about becoming honest, about letting yourself take up the space your child body was denied. Start with self-mirroring. Look at your reflection and practice saying, "I see you," until it doesn't feel like lying. Practice receiving. Let compliments land without deflection. Practice needing. Ask for one small thing, then notice you didn't disappear. The reframe that changes everything. You weren't too much. They were too little. Your fullness wasn't the problem. their emptiness was. And now, filling yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred correction. Forgive them gently. They couldn't see you because they couldn't see themselves. But you can. You always could. You just needed permission. This is it. So the next time you feel yourself fading, pause. That fade isn't protection anymore. It's habit. An old winter coat in spring. The invisible child isn't gone. She's waiting in the quiet room of your chest, holding all the colors you weren't allowed to show. If you listen closely, you can hear her. I'm still here, and I'm ready to be seen. Being unseen doesn't mean being unlovable. It means you learned love in a house without mirrors. But you can build your own now, one honest reflection at a time. And if that child is you, know this: you're quiet, held galaxies, but your voice was always meant to name the stars. You never got to be small and held, but you still get to be vast and loved. Welcome home.